Oh, fuck. We're back. I just had game over as well. I need to fucking change levels. I've been trying this level the whole time. I cannot pass it on this difficulty.
I think
it's
it might just be too hard for you.
It's too hard. You're right. I'm going to Madrid.
Too hard.
Too hard.
That's what she
Anyway,
said.
well, yeah.
Be more
Anyway,
gentle
we
with
were
me.
actually talking about stunt cocks
She
last
said.
time. But what
That's
else
right.
were we talking about? We were talking about Star Trek and Will Wheaton as Wesley Crusher.
Yeah,
And
Google what he
On the topic
what they
of
thought he would look like versus
not just Crusher, but a crush. And I mean, it's a pretty typical thing to talk about, isn't it? Because I think every guy who watched Star Trek The Next Generation had a crush on Deanna Troi. But whilst I did appreciate Deanna Troi's boobs,
ample.
boobs,
boobages. Yeah.
I also had a bit of a crush on Beverly
Picard.
Crusher as well.
Oh, did you?
I don't know why. Yeah, it was really weird. It was like an awkward one.
No,
Where it was like, you know what? I would let her give me medical attention, and I'd be pretty happy with that too. I don't know what it was.
I don't think I ever had a crush on old Dr. Crusher. No, definitely not. No, she's too much of a
Picard
mum.
did.
Picard.
Yeah, maybe
did.
that's
But
the
he
thing
was
though.
like a
Maybe some
granddad.
people like that. People like that, the mum thing, don't they?
Well,
That's
when
not
you're
to
a
say that
granddad,
they're
you
actually.
might do.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
Picard
people-
needed you know, he could have had Deanna Troi as well. It's got to be said. You know, there were times when I'm sure that Picard could have just turned around and been like, Deanna, suck me off. She would.
My
just been
quarters,
like,
10 minutes.
My quarters, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that I think that Deanna Troi gets like all the attention when I think Beverly Crusher was like,
Engage.
you know, yeah,
Engage blowjob.
she's engaged.
One blowjob. Engage.
Beverly, you're gonna have to do that warp 9. I have other things to do today, please. Thank you.
Okay. Jesus.
Shit.
Um.
So anyway, but yeah, I think people should actually consider Beverly Crusher as a alternative to Deanna Troi. You know, I mean, as a source, Deanna Troi can only be used so many times before you think, I need something new, I need something fresh, I need something exciting, and that excitement is Beverly Crusher doing the doctor bit on my balls.
Yeah. So.
Maybe.
Jesus Christ.
What?
Jesus. That's
What?
such a. So sorry. No, I just zoned out for a second there.
Yeah, you were
but
thinking
yeah, I
about
love.
Beverly, weren't you?
I
Thinking about old Bev.
I think it's to do. I think that as a 12-year-old watching Star
Getting
Trek
her medical
6,
apparatus out. Yeah.
were you? I mean, you couldn't have ever envisioned that that was just a crush, right? It couldn't have ever been like a relationship. They could have. It just wouldn't have worked. You know.
No,
She
I wasn't
was a
interested in having a
45-year-old
relationship with
space
Beverly
doctor.
Crusher at the time. Okay?
What?
I was, I was becoming a man at the time. I was going through puberty. There was a lot of confusing thoughts going through my mind. But one thing I did know for sure was that, you know what? Beverly Crusher is a contender alongside Deanna Troi. And
Okay.
also
Who else,
the
though?
other one that Data
For
used
me,
to be in love
it
with.
was Dana Scully. Okay.
Dana
A lot
Scully.
more.
Nice. She's
from-
back. Isn't there like a new X-Files? I saw people talking about this on Twitter, I think. Like a new X-Files.
is it
and
out
it's got
yet?
the same... I don't know.
It might be
Maybe?
out then. I don't know. But
I'll
man,
probably watch
I
it in
think I
like
still
3
have a
years'
big-
time or whatever.
big
But
crush on
man, I used to watch X-Files a lot, actually. It was fucking
Yeah.
good.
So who else did you have a crush on from TV?
Princess Leia in the metal
Oh, for
bikini, which
God's
is everybody.
sakes.
Everybody who grew up around that time. Those
But
movies
there's only
were
like
coming out.
5 minutes of that in all history.
That was enough, okay? We didn't have anything else back then. Jeez.
That was all you had.
Who else? I'm trying to think. Who else was like... I mean, Star Trek. I used to watch Star Trek. I used to watch a lot of cartoons. And, like, I don't know. They didn't really make, like... Not like nowadays where, like, nerds obsess over, like, cartoon girls and stuff. You didn't really have that so much. Like, I don't remember any of that anyway. It's like newer cartoons, I guess they make, like... You know, people
just
in the
don't know who
cartoons, they
you're
try to
possibly-
make them kind of sexy or whatever, but like that's never really worked for me. I've always been more like, you know, Deanna Troy. Not so much Dana Scully, I gotta say.
your obsession with Deanna Troy is bordering on the worrying, I must admit.
Well, you say that. I mean, I think that there's somebody else that you should be a little bit more worried about when it comes to obsessions with Deanna Troy, and his name is Geordie LaForge, and I'm pretty sure he actually attempted to sexually assault her in the holodeck at one point. I've mentioned this a couple of times. It was a really creepy episode of The Next Generation where he was just perving hard. Deanna Troy actually walked into the holodeck while he was in there one time and saw herself. She's like, Jordy, what are you doing? And he's like, Deanna, no! I don't want you to see me like this. He had his visor off and everything. Fuck, it was crazy.
I can't remember watching that specific one. There are some ridiculous episodes, but there was an episode where Geordie had a problem with the engine, so he created a hologram of the chief engine design engineer, right, who was this really hot woman.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he
Oh,
got
that's
all like
the one.
he got
That's
all
the
steamy
one.
with her.
Yeah, where he was perving on her.
That's right.
That's
and then
the one. Oh, I'm
about
confused. It wasn't Deanna Troy.
A season later, okay,
Yeah.
she actually visits the ship for
She visits the ship. She said, Jordy, I've got a 6-month-old baby now. Jordy's like, that's not my baby.
No, but obviously she doesn't know anything about this, okay? And she's like totally the opposite of the hologram. She's like totally like off of him and hates him and stuff. Anyway, she discovers that he's got this hologram program about her, and it is really sinister. Actually, it is
sinister.
Like,
I remember feeling really uncomfortable watching
it's
that
like
whole
someone.
episode.
It's like you saw this girl, like just a picture of her, and then you built this entire sort of sketchbook and this entire like 3D.
I know, it's
model
almost
of,
like the
you and
next
her hanging out.
generation. The next generation predicted Reddit like before it actually happened.
Exactly, it
It's
really
nuts.
did. And it was like he was totally perved on her Facebook and stuff, getting all of her info and all of her deets.
Yeah.
And implementing
Yeah.
it into his real
Doing
doll
some
fantasy,
sleuthing.
basically.
Yeah.
And then she comes along and she walks in on it, right? And
Yeah.
she's like,
And she's,
"Oh my
like,
god,
mortified.
I'm horrified!" And it turns out she's married. Oh, it's the worst. It's the worst.
Yeah.
Poor old Geordie. Yeah, he had a bad
God.
one. But they became friends at the end. For some
Did they?
reason,
I don't remember that.
He managed to
yeah.
logic her out of it, which I don't think would ever happen.
You know what it was?
He would
You know what
have
he
been
did? He guilted
fired.
her. He guilted
What?
her. He was like, I can't see. Love me. And then she was like, oh, Jordy, you know, I've got a thing for blind guys, blind engineers who have to wear hairbands on their face to see. Oh, man. The Next Generation was fucking, I don't know. It was really good. There was some really fucking great episodes and seasons and stuff. And then there were all the episodes where Picard would like go on pony rides in the holodeck for like an entire episode. And those were always the really disappointing ones, weren't they? It's like,
there was
oh,
some real bad.
we've been locked in 1920s Chicago and Al Capone is holding us up in the holodeck. And it's just like, fuck off. Like, isn't there anything better to be doing right now? Like, you know, they could have been killing some Romulans or some Klingons or having some like diplomatic altercations with above mentioned individuals, but no. What did they opt for?
Or like going
Some
slightly
fucking
back in
Al Capone
time, or like being
no,
attacked by
not
a giant
going back in
space
time.
squid or whatever. What? You don't like the back
No.
in time ones?
Especially the back
Why
in
not?
time ones on the holodeck. Fuck all those episodes. They were just the worst. They were just really dumb. I didn't like them at all. I wanted to see spaceships and stuff. Are you talking about the episode where they or the Enterprise like blows up, and as soon as it blows up, they restart? It's like a Groundhog Day episode. You remember that one?
Oh no, I don't think I remember.
They're like
that
caught
one.
in an anomaly, and they only realize after going through the same thing like 50 times that like, hang on, something's not right.
There's always a
Riker,
little bit of that. There's always
Reverse the
someone
thrust.
who can
Yeah.
tell that something's not right. It's either Troy or Guinan or someone who
Yeah.
says to Captain Picard, "This is wrong. Something's
This
something's
is-
terribly wrong." And he's like, "I don't feel anything's wrong." And they say, "Well, it's wrong." On
Yeah.
the subject of females that you fancy in these TV shows, were there any males that you had as like role models? Do you remember any kind of like men that you wanted to be like?
Did I want to be like any men from TV shows? I
Like
mean,
Angel out of Buffy. Did you want to be?
oh, I didn't watch that. I didn't watch
watch
Buffy either.
Oh,
No, I
man.
didn't.
What did you watch? You watched Saved by the Bell, I guess.
I watched Saved by the Bell a lot. I mean, it was on TV a lot when I was growing up, like in the morning before school and after school as well. So yeah, I did watch a ton of Saved by the Bell.
Did you watch
I used to watch-
Cheers?
I used to watch Cheers, yeah.
And
I mean, there
Friends.
wasn't really anyone in Cheers that I wanted to be like.
How about
I
like
mean,
Hasselhoff? Did you watch any of his stuff? Like or equivalent?
What,
Did you watch
like Knight Rider?
Airwolf or like Knight Rider?
Airwolf? Yeah, I
all that
used to
crap?
watch them, but no, there wasn't anyone that like I wanted to be like.
I think
do
you're
you,
quite like
Do you
the
have
Hoff.
somebody in mind here? Like, do you have a
I'm
story to tell? Because I can't think of anyone immediately where I'm like, yeah, I wanted to be exactly like Rocky or anything. Like, I didn't. You know, I didn't really feel like that about Rocky. But you seem to have like an idea. Who did you want to be like, huh? Was it Stephen Fry?
Well, no, he wasn't really. I don't know. I do remember watching, the
Stephen
Red
Fry.
Dwarf, early Red Dwarf, and sort of Blackadder, stuff like that. That was all around when I was a kid. These British stuff. I don't
So
think you
what?
got that.
You
in
wanted
Canada,
to be
did
like
you?
Mr. Bean? What?
Yeah, that was a good role model. What was that?
Well, it
I
was
saw
it was a
thing.
funny time, like when I was growing up, because you didn't have all this like crossover, cultural crossover in terms of TV shows and stuff. Like we got Mr. Bean, but it was on like a special channel, and it would only be shown around Christmas time and stuff, and it wasn't very well known. Whereas like over here, I guess Mr. Bean was like fairly popular and on like at a certain time or whatever, but like. The way TV worked back then, it just wasn't like that. It's not like it is now where you just, if something's big in some country, like every country will get it immediately sort of thing. So like Mr. Bean, I remember, was just on some crappy channel that was like, oh, fuck, I'm about to, oh, yes, I've done it. Holy shit,
Well
that's
done.
satisfying. Thanks. Yeah, I just remember him being on around like Christmas time for some reason. And it was always that episode where he gets his head stuck in the turkey.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody thought it was so funny, but like not everybody watched it because it was just on some obscure TV channel, and it's just like it wasn't like it's not like it is nowadays where you can just go on the internet and see something that is like funny or popular or whatever. You didn't have any of that back then, so it's just you just happened upon it. He's like, Mr. Bean, what's this? And it's like, oh fucking, I don't know anything about England, but I guess they're all like this. Like it was really funny.
I mean, it was very like Pingu, Mr. Bean, i.e., because he didn't really need very much language. It was all entirely slapstick visual kind of gags. Very interesting that something like that could kind of be so successful. It was really good actually when you think about it like that. But man, did you see that?
You
50
remember the
Shades-
episode where he jumps off the diving board at the pool and he loses his bathing suit?
Oh my god,
I've
that
never
would
laughed
never
so hard in
fly
my life.
today, would it?
No,
that would
it
never
wouldn't.
fly because of all
It was that-
exposing yourself to kids. That would totally not fly at all.
No,
Oh
I
my
know.
God.
I'm surprised they even show it as like a rerun or whatever. I was talking yesterday about, and like, it's a weird one because this is all stuff that came out in Britain in the 90s. And of course, I didn't live here in the 90s. So it's kind of weird that I have some sort of idea about what the culture was like in the 90s in Britain. But that's just because my wife is the same age as me and her brother is like not too far off. So I was like subjected to sort of like, 90s era Harry Enfield and the Fast Show and stuff like that, because that's all stuff that they used to watch and that they'd enjoyed. So when I moved over here for the first time, I used to watch a lot of that kind of stuff. And we were just talking about how, I don't know if you're like a fan of Harry Enfield, but he tried to like have a show recently and it just wasn't really that funny. Like it wasn't as funny as his old stuff. Remember some like the old characters like Tim Nice But Dim and the Come On It's Christmas guy and Wayne and Waynetta Slob, and it used to have like a lot of really funny characters and like the sketches were pretty funny and stuff, but I don't know, I saw him recently and it just like wasn't that funny.
Did you?
Just
What it
like,
was called? What you watched Harry and Paul? Did you? I enjoyed Harry and Paul. I think it was good.
and what was that Smashy and Nicey, the radio guys? Remember those guys?
The fast show. I mean, we really are going back in time here. But I mean, there's so many good comedy shows. I think sometimes it's just I don't know. I watched what's that thing called with Vic and Bob where they did a BBC show for like 6 episodes, and it was just so weird.
Oh yeah, I think I remember. Was it? I can't remember the name of it. That's not something that I watched much of though. Like that was like too much for me somehow. I just didn't get it. Like I couldn't watch it. I
House
thought it
of
was
Fools.
I thought
Matt
it'd be a
Berry
bit
in it
like
as
that
well.
with Father Ted too. Like when somebody first mentioned to me about Father Ted, it's like, oh, it's really funny. It's about these priests. And I was like, yeah, fuck that. I'm not watching that. Sounds stupid. But then it turns out it's like the funniest show ever. But I didn't think I'd get it. So like I was, I didn't want to watch it sort of
It's
thing.
amazing how sometimes that stuff can put you off. Yeah. So anyway, House
Yeah.
of Fools. I watched it. I liked it. It was really weird and quirky and funny. And I thought it was great. Yeah. Go back to Mr.
I don't
Bean
know if I
very
ever
briefly.
saw
I saw a 50 Shades of Grey, where
yeah.
Mr. Bean had been put in place of Christian
Oh yeah.
Ritchieman McDave.
What? Have you actually read that 50 Shades of Grey? Like, do you know what it's about and stuff?
Yeah. Do you not?
No, not at all.
It's about like
I didn't think I was part of the demographic for that, so I just like totally body swerved it.
It's about a billionaire man called Christian Grey, I
Bale.
guess his name is, must
Yeah.
be. That makes sense, doesn't it? And he is...
Oh, and is it something to do with like all of his like personalities or something?
He's basically this...
Sexual appetites?
Yeah, he's this sexual deviant who basically tricks this young woman into loads of... like, into his dungeon, and she loves it.
He has a dungeon?
Yeah, well, it's like a
Holy
really
crap.
nice dungeon. It's made of like wood paneling and leather and stuff. It's like super nice.
Fuck.
It's like an Apple dungeon equivalent.
It's like an eye dungeon.
Imagine
Nice.
Apple made a dungeon, sex dungeon. It'd be like that.
Cool.
Except it's all.
I've been waiting
magical.
for them to do a sex dungeon. Actually, that's nice. It's good news for me.
It's just kind of bizarre. It's written. I think it was written as like a Twilight fanfic or something. The woman who wrote it was a Twilight fanfic writer, and she wrote this.
No, right.
It's like girl porn. Like I said, it's like feminine erotica kind of stories and stuff. I think women are more responsive to that kind of like emotional porn than men are.
Emotional porn. Maybe,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, let's talk about it next time.
Jesus. All right. Well,
Jesus.
Let's get rid of that, and we'll end here. Oh my god. I've got something
Bye.
to do. So we'll see you all later. Bye.
Bye.